Alright, I just want to say something because I don't know if this debate is over yet, but alright, basically, like, like, there, you should ink mid first and not base. I know, controversial opinion, but you should ink mid first and not base. Here's why. So think about it. Like, the match starts, and like everyone spawned or like right here or something. It's like, while you're sitting here inking the base, if the other team decides to go to mid first, they have control of this entire area, and you're gonna have to do one big push to be able to get this area of the map back. Like, and the only way you might possibly be able to sneak in without doing a one big push is like by using these flanks here, which are really exposed, by the way, unless you're running Ninja Squid, which is kind of the meta right now. So yeah, but like, yeah, if you're sitting back here inking your base, the other team can just have one player that doesn't want to ink base, literally just one player that doesn't want to ink base, and they could go swimming up to mid and cap this entire area, keep it all safeguarded. But see, if you were to go to mid first, then you would have the upper hand. You would be able to hold more turf because you took mid first. They can't take. It's going to be harder for them to take mid back because you already took mid. You already have, like, say if you're using what's it called, ink mines, and with a flingza roller or something. Because I know I know sometimes people want missiles. Like, you would already have your ink mine set up, and you would already just have mid generally captured. And generally when you're at mid, you don't go back and ink base. You usually just keep going, pushing towards their base. So it's like you already captured like half the map. Yeah, you could have already at least captured like half the map here. And while they're still inking base, they're like somewhere over here. And that just makes it completely possible for you to take this part, and like if you're swift enough, like you could just cap the entirety of mid by yourself. Now, if both teams decide to go to mid, then it's just game over. But when you decide to ink base, that's just stupid. Cause say you die in mid, cause like, I don't know, you got sniped or something. When you respawn, ink the base a little bit for your special. If you run a lot of special saver and special up like me, if you just ink the base a little bit when you respawn for you could get special, you could get your special ready before you come back to mid. You would ink the base a little bit, and you would ink the base a little bit, and every time you die, just keep inking the base a little bit. You don't have to like if you just dedicate the first part of the game to inking the base, that makes you completely susceptible to just losing the entirety of mid and having to do one big push to get it back. So go to mid first and don't ink base, because like if you're staying back at base, just inking, the other team could completely go rushing up to mid and take the entirety of mid while you're still back here inking base. And then by the time you actually get to mid, it's too late, because it's like you spent like half the game inking base. And you don't have to spend half the game inking base, because I don't know how, like, sometimes you might spend like a second doing it, you might spend like the entirety of the game doing it, but like it slows you down. You want to get to mid first. It's like, I know this isn't ranked and there's no objective at mid you gotta get, but like even in clan blitz, like usually you stay back in clan blitz and get like the couple clams that are in your spawn, and then you go to mid. But in clan blitz, you actually should probably go to mid too. But like that's an entirely different subject. But yeah, if you don't go to mid first and stay back there inking base, then like the other team could completely just take mid, and it's going to be really hard to get it back. Especially if you're playing a bad weapon. So yeah, you should get mid first and not ink base. Go for mid first, please. I mean, but this is just turf war, and like ranked mode. And ranked modes are completely different. And ranked you generally want to go to mid, cause like there's like usually like the rainmaker here or the tower here, and you want to get there first. And in clan blitz, even there's like a whole bunch of clans spawn at mid, and like there's not that many at base. So always go to mid. The only reason you should be staying back is if like you're like setting something up back there, like say you're getting your special or you're missile spamming or something. But yeah, generally you're gonna want to go to mid. So you shouldn't ink base first, you should go to mid. The only time you should be inking base first is if you're playing something like say arrow spray, the gold arrow spray, or like a missile spamming weapon like reflux. And reflux isn't even really, that's the only thing it can really do. It can just ink it. It's not that good at much else. Like the arrow spray is a shooter, so it has some like advantages of a shooter because like shooter bias, shooter privilege, whatever you call it. So yeah, you should ink mid first and not base. Now I will say, when I talked about earlier about how you gotta like at mid, they could cat mid first. When they cat mid first, just ink like probably this area or so. Like so like you can so like when they're at mid and they're trying to push to your base, you like you don't actually have ink there, and you could like maneuver that area easily. And don't forget about these flanks. These flanks might make it possible to get mid without having to do an entire massive push or like a whole bunch of specials. But you wouldn't have to even use those specials if you just got mid first. Then you would be the one pushing their base. So if you get mid, you generally are going to have the upper hand. Inking your base is not going to do much for you. Usually when the game starts, people are gonna they're all gonna go the same route to mid. But then like later on in the game, say that route is blocked, you're gonna take different routes and ink different routes. So like your base eventually gets inked fully, throughout the game. You don't need to dedicate the start of the game to inking your entire base. Alright, I just wanted to like comment on that situation.